Hello everyone, welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today we are talking about Expendables, directed by Scott Waugh. That's how it's in the movie.
It is.
And I've seen this film. Nicholas, unfortunately, has not.
I've not, unfortunately.
This will not be a spoiler review for that case. But I did want to kind of give some brief thoughts on it. I did get a chance to see it this past weekend. And let me first kind of give you my thoughts on the Expendables franchise as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
The first film suffers from the problem of taking itself a little bit too seriously until the film's third act. The third act of Expendables 1 is fun and bonkers as shit. And the first time I watched it, I was like, if I could have just had that third act for a whole movie, would have been an amazing self-aware experience. Enter the Expendables 2, and that's exactly what they fucking did. I love the Expendables 2.
I do as well.
It's ridiculous, knows exactly what it is. It's fun, love it. Expendables 3 was a step down. Not the worst movie ever, but it was a step down.
Mm-hmm. PG-13 rating killed it.
Yeah. But very good villain, good performances still all around, movie. Expendables. I, unfortunately, am here to report it's not good. Not only is it not good, it's one of the worst movies of the year. So, definitely, for sure. Probably the only worst film I've seen so far this year is probably Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fool's Paradise?
Slightly better. And look, you guys know we don't like to talk shit about movies on here. So I'm going to give constructive criticism as to why I think the film didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it has to come down to how the film was made. The film looks very bad. It looks very cheap. It doesn't even feel like effort was put into the sets and the VFX at all. It looks very generic, boilerplate. And the VFX throughout the whole franchise are kind of boilerplate, but this is like another level of non-caring put into this. Also, the story overall is very messy, and I'm not going to get into spoilers here. Picture every trope that a movie like this could have. Now picture every single one of those tropes being done poorly and not knowing they're done poorly. The movie thinks that they're doing a great job, and it keeps unironically thinking, we just did that. And no, you didn't, is kind of how I felt through the entire time.
Okay.
There are some highlights, not many. Jason Statham, great as always. There's some banter that works. I'd say 85% of the banter does not work. And that's disappointing because the banter was the best part of the other Expendables films.
Well, the whole thing is the basis for the franchise is all these old action heroes coming together, and you just get to all see them all see them all on screen in a movie.
Yeah. And some of that is still there. Mm-hmm. But they try to go in a new direction in this. It doesn't quite work. Iko Uwais is in the movie. Iko Uwais is how you pronounce his name. The guy from The Raid. He does as well as he can with this script. The script is probably the number one issue with the film. It's something. Mm-hmm. And the dialogue that these actors have to perform, horrific. Like, there's a lot of the first act of the movie is Jason Statham and Sylvester Stallone just like bantering. None of the banter works. None of it. And these are characters where if you watch this whole franchise, are the heart of the franchise. Are these two.
Banter's worked in the other movies.
It's worked phenomenally in the other films. None of it's working. To the point where I actively would kind of put my head down and just be like, oh my God. Like, I couldn't believe it. There's a 20-minute section of this film in the third act on a boat where Jason Statham and another member of the cast have a huge action scene to try to save the other Expendables. And that shit was good as fuck. Like, I was like, okay, here
we go.
This is pretty good. Like, this is what I came to see. Like, fun action where they're hitting people, giving corny lines, and moving on. There was also a fight scene with Jason Statham and Iko Uwais. Very well done. Especially for surrounded by a movie that I didn't enjoy. Pretty good fight scene. And the second half of the fight scene, they let him do some raid stuff. Which, if you've never seen The Raid, do so. But it's not a full raid fight.
Yeah, naturally.
But at the end of the fight, in the second half of the fight, they let him do some stuff where you're like, oh yeah, this guy's in the raid. But overall, it just unfortunately almost nothing worked. And by the time stuff was working, it was far too late. And it makes the problem again of trying to be... Like, the second one is wholly self-aware.
Yes.
This one thinks it is.
As only Simon West, director of Con Air, could do.
Yes, correct. This one only thinks it's self-aware. And it really isn't. Because there is another lost art. We mention all the time why the Fast and Furious franchise works. Is because everyone knows it's silly except for Vin Diesel, he thinks it's Shakespeare. Why the Expendables movies work is everyone knows it's a joke except Sylvester Stallone, he thinks it's Shakespeare. This is kind of present here, but even Sylvester Stallone in this movie phones it in. And you're like, damn, like, you?
He had to get back to that Tulsa King set.
Correct, but it was just unfortunate to see. And I wanted the film to be good. I genuinely enjoy the second film a lot.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. And I thought that maybe we could get back to those heights with this film, and I was unfortunately wrong. I probably will not be watching the film again. I often see films more than once. Not this one.
Just disappointing, which means I'm riding solo on that one.
Yes.
I think just looking at the trailers and stuff too, because I do genuinely like the first, second, and I did enjoy the third movie. I was very excited for the concept of a fourth one.
Me too.
But like I said, the whole point is to get all these old action hero stars on screen together in their own movie franchise. And I think part of the reason that the third one faltered with the PG-13 rating, one, taking it a step down, and two, they tried to infuse it with a lot of young blood. And it seems like the fourth movie's also trying to do that, but they didn't carry over any of the young blood from the third movie into the fourth movie, and it's just losing what the franchise is supposed to be in that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, this franchise has a huge identity crisis.
Yeah.
It found itself in that second movie, and then it lost itself almost immediately again.
And I know the third one had the issues, too, of, like, it getting leaked online and everything like that.
Huge piracy problem.
But it still did fairly well, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong entirely, but...
Not as well as they hoped. We'll say that.
Fair.
Yeah. And look, I was kind of hoping there'd be an Expendables 5. I don't know if there will be one now. You know what I hope happens? I'm going to will this into existence right fucking now. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
An indie filmmaker who like has a really cool like A24 film under their belt is going to make a prequel called Expendable. And it's going to be about young Sylvester Stallone. And it's going to be like...
Rambo.
But it's going to be like an incredible movie. Like... completely different tone. Like, it's character driven. It's amazing. But they still have the balls to reference the other films, and he gets like young Mickey Rourke and like people in the movie.
Because they haven't got Rourke for one, right?
Yeah, I'm willing that into existence right now. I want that to happen so badly. Make it happen, somebody. Hey,
why are you saying somebody? We can do that.
If anyone would like to give us $25 million to help make this movie, $4. If anyone could give us $4 million to make this movie.
Hey, we don't even have to make it. We can write it.
If anyone will give us some rent for a couple months so we can make this movie, we'll gladly do it.
Let's dye your hair black. We can get you a Stallone-like.
Yeah. Give me 2.5 years to get in shape.
Into Rambo shape.
Yeah. Because I don't have a trainer. They're too expensive, and I will falter 6 months in and need to restart. But... yeah, that's the review, guys. Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't really work for me. Godspeed when you see it. You can call me afterwards if you want. But yeah. Well, there were some redeeming qualities, just unfortunately not a good film. But what did you guys think of Expendables 4? Maybe you liked it, and if you did, comment below. Let me know what you guys thought, and we'll see you on the next review.